For a man whose nickname is Money, Mayweather certainly has a lot of money problems.
Felony theft and fraud charges over a $200,000 watch, a $175 million lawsuit against his own former manager, a $340 million lawsuit against Showtime, a $7.3 million IRS lien, a court order to pay $1 million in back child support, and now the one fight that was supposed to bail him out of all of it might be falling apart too. Okay, if you enjoyed this, make sure to follow, like, share with your friends and family, and drop your thoughts in the comments. All right. That's not a guy having a rough month. That's a guy whose entire financial world appears to be collapsing in real time, in public, across at least 5 different courtrooms. By the end of this video, you'll see exactly how deep this actually goes and why people close to this situation think it's about to get a lot worse before it gets better. Quick recap on the case that kicked this whole avalanche into public view. Clark County prosecutors filed felony theft and fraud charges against Mayweather, alleging he wrote a $200,000 check at a Las Vegas luxury watch store for an Audemars Piguet, and that the account didn't have enough money to cover the claim. He's facing both a theft charge and a charge for passing a bad check with intent to defraud, felonies that carry real prison time on paper. As it is, that's already a strange look for a man whose whole brand is built on having more cash than he could ever spend. But it turns out this watch case wasn't an isolated incident. It was just the first domino that the public actually noticed. Because weeks later, Mayweather dropped something far bigger. He filed his own lawsuit in New York, seeking $175 million, accusing his former investment manager, Jonah Rechnitz, of running a years-long fraud scheme against him. The allegations in that filing are wild. Mayweather claims Rechnitz spent years building trust with him, only to funnel his money into accounts tied to a Florida investment firm called Frist Apex Ventures. According to the suit, nearly $100 million worth of Mayweather's jewelry was pledged to 2 Miami jewelers in exchange for just $13 million in cash, and a large chunk of that jewelry is still sitting with those jewelers today. The lawsuit also claims a $7.5 million wire meant for a 1-year investment simply vanished, with no investment made and no money returned. And in maybe the strangest detail of all, Mayweather says he signed paperwork to sell his private jet at Rechnitz's suggestion, except the buyer's section of the bill of sale was left completely blank. And to this day, Mayweather says he has no idea who actually bought his own plane. Rechnitz's side isn't backing down quietly either. Their attorney has publicly called the claims baseless, says they have documentation, including Mayweather's own messages, that tells a very different story, and has openly warned that once this goes to court, it won't just be Rechnitz's reputation on trial. They've said Mayweather's gambling habits, his spending, and his outstanding debts to creditors and the IRS are about to become public record. In other words, Floyd swung first, and the other side is promising to swing back even harder. And here's the part most casual fans completely missed. The Rechnitz lawsuit isn't even Mayweather's biggest legal move this year. Months earlier, he filed a separate lawsuit against Showtime Networks and the network's former sports president, Stephen Esposito, seeking at least $340 million. The claim here is different, but just as serious. Mayweather alleges Showtime helped his longtime manager, Al Heyman, divert hundreds of millions of dollars of his fight earnings into accounts he never controlled across some of the biggest pay-per-view events in boxing history, including his fights against Conor McGregor and Manny Pacquiao. According to the lawsuit, when Mayweather's new management team eventually asked Showtime for a breakdown of where the money went, the answers didn't add up. At one point, his team says they were told certain financial records were lost in a flood. Notably, Heyman himself isn't even named in that lawsuit. Only Showtime and Esposito are. Some boxing insiders believe that's a deliberate legal strategy, a way to use the lawsuit to dig up records and build toward a separate second case against Heyman down the line. So just take a step back for a second. This is a man simultaneously accusing 2 completely different sets of people of stealing from him to the tune of over $500 million combined, while at the same time being accused himself of stealing a watch. And underneath all of that, the IRS has its own claim on Mayweather. In March, the agency filed a $7.3 million federal tax lien in Las Vegas tied to unpaid taxes from 2018 and 2023. This isn't new territory for him either. Back in 2015, Mayweather settled a separate tax dispute with the IRS for $22.2 million. On top of that, a Nevada judge recently ruled that Mayweather is the legal father of a 4-year-old girl after he reportedly failed to comply with a court-ordered DNA test for years. He was ordered to pay over over $32,000 a month going forward, plus nearly $933,000 in back support, and the court has now authorized a lien of up to $2 million on his California property if he doesn't pay. So line all of this up: felony theft charges, a $175 million fraud suit, a $340 million fraud suit, a multi-million-dollar tax lien, and a $1 million child support judgment, all stacking up at the exact same time. That's not coincidence. That's a financial structure that appears to be buckling under its own weight, piece by piece, in public. Here's where it gets genuinely serious, though, because Mayweather's entire plan to dig out of all this has always seemed to rely on one thing: getting back in the ring and cashing one massive payday. He's already done an exhibition with Mike Tyson, and the big one on the calendar has been a Manny Pacquiao rematch, reportedly set for September at the Sphere in Las Vegas. For months, that fight has been treated as the obvious solution: one nine-figure purse and a lot of these debts disappear overnight. But even that may be in jeopardy. Pacquiao's camp has reportedly accused Mayweather of caking up front money, agreeing to terms for the bout, and then trying to renegotiate the deal after the fact, putting the entire rematch at risk of falling apart. If the one fight that was supposed to bail him out collapses too, that doesn't just delay his payday, it removes the only obvious move he has left on the board. Mayweather has danced around financial trouble before and always found a way to climb back out, usually by lacing up the gloves one more time. But the difference this time is the sheer number of fronts this is happening simultaneously. It's not one bad year of taxes. It's not one disgruntled jeweler. It's felony theft charges, two massive fraud suits running in opposite directions, a federal tax lien, a $1 million child support judgment, and now real doubt over the one fight that was supposed to fix it all. Even people who spent time around him are starting to say the same thing publicly, that once he gets his hands on a big payday again, the spending and the chaos tend to start right back up, and he ends up exactly where he started. So here's the real question hanging over all of this. Is Floyd Mayweather actually the victim of multiple people stealing from him at once, exactly like he claims? Or is money finally running out of road after spending 2 decades treating his fortune like it would never end? Drop your take in the comments, and if you want to know the second the Pacquiao fight situation or any of these lawsuits move forward, make sure you're subscribed, because at this rate, this story is updating by the week, not the month.
Boxer Floyd Mayweather has been charged in Las Vegas in a bad check case involving a luxury watch. Court records say Mayweather faces felony drawing or passing a check with intent to defraud and theft value $100,000 or greater. Prosecutors say the check was tied to a December 31, 2024, $200,000 purchase from Gold and Beyond in Las Vegas. The check was deposited and returned unpaid, as the defendant well knew. Authorities said a certified letter was mailed to the name and address on the check, notifying Mayweather of the returned item and demanding payment in full, but the amount wasn't paid, a prosecutor said.